So I'm not really sure what I want to talk about. I let myself sleep in quite a lot today. I definitely needed the sleep, and kind of didn't let myself feel bad for sleeping in either, especially since I guess I did technically have places to be, and in a way I kind of canceled those. Because I knew I probably would have needed the sleep, and I kind of realized after waking up that it probably was best for me to just stay home. So I think it was probably around 3-ish when I actually got out of bed. This was the first time that I've done a meditation and didn't time it. Didn't have set a timer or anything like that. I basically just came out here on the porch, and the weather was really nice. The weather still is really nice. It's not too hot, not too cold. It's kind of a gentle breeze. Normally I don't like being outside when it's like excruciatingly hot or very humid, and today is not one of those days. So I just sat on the side of the porch and just kind of chilled. Normally when I do my meditations, there's a lot of like, not necessarily anxiety, but like just like this energy and just like so much bouncing around within myself and in my head, and there really wasn't any of that today. Like it was, right now I'm in like, I think one of the calmest states that I've probably been in quite a long time. Just like super chill and super relaxed, even though I know there's a ton of stuff that I have to get done. Technically things I've turned down for today. But it still feels like the right thing to do. To just kind of be in this moment and to embrace the outdoors, embrace the weather, embrace the quietness of this moment and just the way that I am. Just don't really feel like I have a whole lot to say. I know part of this like chill-ish like mood kind of comes from being up late last night with a friend, which I know you're probably watching, and I know after pretty much every one of those little interactions, I always feel like I'm kind of take a step up, like to the next level, like personally, and from a place of personal growth. Whether or not like any big conversations took place or big things happened or not, just it always seems like that. But yeah, it's just, I guess right now I just don't really feel super compelled to really do anything. And I feel okay with that for once. I'm sure that might change in a couple hours when I finish waking up and kind of getting ready for the day, even though the day is like kind of over already. Not really, but and I can feel in this particular moment that sort of tension that I feel like I should be saying something, especially since the record button is on, and I don't want to let a video just ramble on for X number of minutes and not actually just saying anything. And coincidentally, I think that's kind of what happens. It's the same similar feeling that I get when I'm just with someone and they ask, what am I thinking? And I don't really necessarily have a thought, or when I do, I don't really have capacity to say it in that moment, which I know is okay. But I can feel that similar kind of feeling within me, a feeling like I should be saying something or should have a thought to say, but or just not recognizing being able to put feelings and thoughts into actual words. Just kind of how just a little observation. I don't really know what I want to do today. Like, I know I have to get some client work done. There's definitely things I could be doing for the studio or the Westies, or working on photos and stuff for my LA trip and blog posts for Connection Cove, LA, Indy, etc., etc., etc. Another thought that came up was I think part of this calmness is starting to come about as a result of organizing and cleaning up my space and basically starting to jettison a lot of the things that I own. Like lately it's been clothing and paring down my wardrobe significantly, and like cleaning off my desks, my basically any horizontal surface in my room I've made sure to be as flat and clear as possible, unless I'm using it specifically for storage of notes and projects and whatever else. But there was definitely a time about a week ago where almost like every surface was covered with something, and that just like took up a lot of like mental memory and mental attention. And by going through a lot of those things a couple days ago, I think I've freed up a lot of that mental energy, and I think that's helped me to create a lot, goodness, a lot calmer mindset in general, and I think it's kind of starting to pay off a little bit by little bit. Even though I still feel like I could be getting rid of a lot more. And granted, a lot of this stuff is just stored in my closet, but at least it's out of sight, kind of out of primary attention. And I don't know, I just like that clean sort of look, and helps keep things calm and focused for me, so that when I do sit down to work at a desk, or it's just a clean slate for me, where I can be monotasked, where I can monotask and be singularly focused on one thing at a time, which I think helps out a lot. Probably should at some point figure out my film editing stuff so that I can edit out these like super long pauses, which is something I hadn't actually considered before, is that I can just edit out some of the silence, even though personally I'm okay with there being a gap. I kind of recognize that if someone was going to watch, they probably wouldn't want to care for sitting me here not saying anything for a minute straight or something like that. But for now, since I'm not really intending to do anything specific with these videos or publishing them, it's more for me to get into the practice of sitting down and creating the content and publishing it, regardless of what it looks like, and not worrying about getting people to watch them, or not worrying about getting subscribers or anything like that. Like, I don't really care for any of that right now. Maybe I'll adapt my methods and my strategy when, or if, that ever becomes an area of interest. But for right now, meh. But yeah, knowing that now is a bit more of a relief that I can do that when I'm making these videos, like, not worrying about blinking out for a minute or two straight, and just knowing that I could, if I decide to, edit it out. Just for the current software, I have to fix it, and that's been annoying. So probably, if I can't find a solution or can't live with the backup solution, I'm just finding a different program or buying a new one, I don't know. It's strange for me. I go on these, I definitely feel like I have big, grand ambitions, but I'm definitely not putting in the work to really match that level of ambition. Especially with my personal dance and the Westies. Like, I think and imagine all these grand things, but I'm not actually putting in the work to get them done. And for me, that's frustrating, and I'm kind of learning to be okay with that sort of frustration, and kind of accept it and love it for what it is. Especially since my other friend, they kind of helped me remember that resisting those kind of emotions, basically resisting any kind of emotions, amplifies them and makes them worse. There's particular things that I've felt over the past couple of days where it's like getting frustrated with those particular emotions or thoughts basically make them persist. And the only way to not necessarily make them go away, but to transcend past them is to first identify that they're there, become aware of them, and then to accept that they're there, and then to basically love that they're there and that they're a part of me and that they're there for a reason, and that I shouldn't necessarily feel like that they shouldn't be there. I don't know. That's another little phrase that I say a lot. I don't know. Just like my friend pointed out last night when I say something like that. And I'm okay with that or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember what it was, but something like that. Starting to become more conscious of the little habitual phrases that I use in conversation that I use to fill space, like ums and like and. And I noticed that when I'm being conscious of saying those things and trying to make myself not say it or not use it as a filler because of the discomfort with silence, that I end up becoming more quiet and just listening to my own thoughts, slowing down my thoughts so that I can think and be okay with what the moment is, what's happening in the moment, and not using those words to fill space and to fill the discomfort or distract myself from the discomfort, which makes me embrace that sort of discomfort of silence, of not having the right word, of having my thoughts clearly shaped before saying them, so that I can actually sit, be quiet with that moment, give myself even like 2 seconds to like formulate my thoughts so that I can say it. And today's video is like super all over the place, and that's super cool. Goodness. I really do need to, like, get a little bit more consistent with my sleep. I think it was good that I let myself sleep in and kind of wake up naturally. What do I got? That doesn't seem right. Maybe 8, 9 hours. When I was originally planning on getting like 6. But yeah, I definitely need to, I don't want to say I need to get my sleep in order, but, because I keep saying that, but just, I would like to be more consistent with my sleep, even if I'm still staying up late, still staying up till like 4 or 5 in the morning. I think that would be better to make my standard for my lifestyle, at least just to start, so that I think normalizes my circadian rhythm, which I think would probably help with other minor like health things, like just focus and energy in general. I think when I can have that consistency and kind of just embrace the fact that I am an evening person, that I like the late nights, partly for myself and partly for some of the people that I spend time with late at night, which isn't a lot, but also sometimes I question the belief that I'm not a morning person, or not a morning person. I use air quotes a lot. I am starting to question whether or not it's true that I'm not a morning person, that possibly I might benefit quite a lot from waking up super early, that maybe I would quite possibly be more focused, more proficient, more disciplined by waking up earlier in the morning. I think it could honestly work both ways, but both ways, either waking up early and going to bed early and getting my work done earlier in the morning, and waking up late, staying up late, but having the like willpower to actually work in the evening rather than just sit and watch YouTube or just play games or whatever. Both of those require a lot of self-discipline, which is an area of an improvement for me quite significantly, and why I think the meditations and doing these videos are so important for me, is learning to use these practices to kind of develop that consistency and discipline, even if it's not directly related to the other things I want to get done. The simple act of that I had made a decision to do this and doing my best to stick with it as consistently as possible, I think adds to the discipline or willpower bank or capacity, and just builds up that sort of muscle. And that also reminds me I need to get with the EOL team and fill out that form for the 3-month, 90-day check-in thing, which on that form had a section for like what is going to happen when if I don't commit to the thing for 90 days or 6 months, and I know I have not been 100% consistent with being daily on doing meditation and doing these videos. So I think from this point on I need to make it more of an intentionality thing, and that maybe there would be some sort of consequence, or even if it was light, like not super significant, but some sort of consequence for not doing the meditation and not getting out of the house, which is also something I think I need to be more intentional about, is actually getting out of the house and like physically changing destination. I think it's good. I think me coming out on the porch is a good minimum. But I think I would benefit more from like physically changing destination and doing work elsewhere. Or even if it was just reading a book or writing in my journal for an hour, I don't know. So I have to decide what my consequence for not doing things consistently would be, or just deciding for myself that from this point on there would be a consequence, but from this point back maybe there isn't a consequence for not doing things daily, or just having some kind of light punishment or consequence, so that I would kind of integrate into my nervous system that I need to be doing these things that I decided would be helpful and that I decided I would commit to every single day, and didn't. But also on the flip side, I know there was definitely some moments where I was more in my heart, more in the moment, more present, and I didn't do the meditation, I didn't do the videos, and those moments were probably almost better than the days where I had done the meditation, did the video, came out on the porch, and wasn't necessarily super in my heart, and not super present, or not just easily distracted and stuff, and not really getting anything done. And that big chunk of time was Indie Dance X. So I think my main thing of my 6 months is basically, am I being super present and living in the moment, living fully, being with my heart, following what the heart is saying. And then the meditation video and getting out of the house would be just like supporting things that are, if I don't necessarily consider that I had a living fully day, or wasn't very focused, wasn't intentional, that as long as I at least did those, that would at least be my bare minimum for succeeding with my commitment. I don't know. There's a lot of, it seems like I'm focusing too much on the nitty-gritty stuff instead of just being in my heart and just kind of going with the flow of things. So it's a lot of thoughts today, and a much longer video than I thought it would be, but also a lot more silence, a lot more, I don't know. I just feel super calm and super chill right now, and like I want to get things done, and I want to work on the ambitious things, whether it's personal or for a project, or the studios, or Westies, or the Grove, or whatever else. But right now I just feel content being out here, just watching the clouds and being in the weather that's not super hot. And random thought, I feel like I squint in my videos a lot. Part of that is the sun. I'm not used to, I don't think my eyes are conditioned for this much light, and it's not even that bright out, but I think it's because I'm so used to being inside a room and only having a computer screen to look at, and not having too much light in, not having all this makes me squint, because I'm just not used to it. But the more I practice and the more consistent I am with it, maybe the more I'll actually look normal, whatever that means. So really the only things I have on my agenda at the moment are meditation, content, and getting out of the house, which is the same for the past couple weeks, and will continue to be the same for the next couple weeks, but maybe I'll combine a couple of these so that I have room out of my 5 things to do other things. But so I have client work I need to get done, and I don't even know what my 5th thing for today is going to be. Because I keep adding things like work on the LA photos and blog posts, Connection Cove, etc. Developing stuff for the studio or the Westies, and a lot of times those just get postponed, and I just get distracted with things, and I don't know, sometimes it starts to feel ingenuine that I write down that I want to do those things, and because I don't end up doing them, and I write them down 50,000 times. So I'm trying to think / feel what I actually want to get done today, or just what feels right in this moment. And in this moment, it's not really doing anything. And I think kind of accepting that today is going to be a very solo day. As in, that is a big bug. I don't know what it is. I do not like that thing. Whatever it is. I don't know where it went. Anyway. Aside from just accepting that, I think today is going to be a very quiet, introspective day, and I'm just accepting that I'm okay with not really going out and doing some of the other things I had planned. But I still want to make progress on something or to move something forward that's coming from the heart. And I don't know, maybe I need to meditate on that longer and just kind of feel what comes up, but something needs to... There's a hummingbird. I'm just going to pause the video and just think on that for a minute. Well, I didn't really think of the thing, but I was going to flip through my little book thing and kind of see if anything was inspired. And I kind of noticed that I had this page that of like 3 things I was going to work on for like the past, basically since the beginning of July, and I haven't even like looked at this since, which is a problem that I have where it's like I write things down, plan things out, and don't even like reference what I was going to work on. Well, I guess kind of worked on it. One of the goals that I had was to work on mindset practices and routine, and making it more of a habit, which just means consistently doing it over and over. And so technically I've been working on this one because it's been the thing that I was committing to anyway, which was doing meditation, creating video/blog posts, getting into the house, doing those every day, to basically be in the LA/EOL vibe and the self-confidence. So I guess maybe I've technically done that one, or made progress on that one. Also cultivating the West Coast Club and developing drafts for teaching and stuff for myself and for once I start getting into actually teaching students. Just something I gotta think a little bit more about. So I guess I'm kind of in that line of thinking, but it definitely wasn't intentional. And I had a whole page for the focus that I wanted to have for July, which again was the morning routine kind of thing. Just the 3 things that I was focusing on. So I'm glad to be kind of working with that still. I really need to spend more time reviewing some of the stuff I've kind of written and committed to from LA. Like one of my things was to, like one of the things that Kyle talked about was basically what are the things that you do that would be on a scale from 1 to 10 would, like where 1 is like doing nothing and being in addictions and distracting yourself and being out of your heart, and 10 is being like totally at your heart's edge and totally expanding and growing and evolving. Out of your day, what percentage of your day is spent doing things that are level 10 or things that expand you? And at the event I kind of recognized that I was spending anywhere from like 1 to 10% of my day doing things that expand me, and it like challenged us to pick a new number of what percentage of the day you want to be spending doing things that expand you, that make you grow, put you in your heart and at your heart's edge, and also cautioned us not to pick 100% and be that ambitious, because that is a perfectionist type thing. So my thing was to spend 50 to 70% of my day doing things that expand me, get me out of my comfort zone, keep me in the present, make me feel, etc., etc. And I know I'm a lot. I think more of my days are more conscious or more intentional than what it was prior to the event, but I don't think I'm quite at the consistency of being at 50 to 70% of my day being like totally in a project or totally in flow or in the present. It's better than the 1 to 10% that I was in, but still have progress to make. So it's good for me to recognize that and to remember that. Another thing was to work on minimalism and decluttering, which I am making progress on. So I guess I'm not necessarily too far behind on some of the goals I had set, despite not actually looking at any of the goals. But I do need to make a habit of actually looking at my stuff that I've written and decided I wanted to work on. I'm still not necessarily any closer to what I want to work on today. Just a little random note. I have a list of 10 questions. It's an exercise that I do at least once a year, where you spend about an hour and you ask 100 questions. It could be anything from like, why is the sky blue, to what's my favorite color, what's the meaning of life, what kind of people do I want in my life, why do I like West Coast? Just questions, anything, could be anything. And then going through and finding themes of all the questions. Like I know a lot of my like common themes between most of my questions were like how to become like independent and financially secure, like a connection with people, how to create communities, / be an effective leader / contributor to community, and just etc. And then to basically narrow it down to what's my top 10 questions. And I now recognize that I could basically just do a video or a blog post and just focus on one question at a time and just actually see if I can answer it for myself, with myself, by myself, based on where I'm at in this moment. Like, it's been 6 months since I've asked these questions, but I think most of the time, like the past couple of years when I've done this, like a lot of my end of year review has been actually very in line with the questions that I asked at the beginning of the year, the top 10 questions. Even if I had only looked at them 2 or 3 times throughout the entire year. But I think it would be interesting for me to actually go through and ask these questions and meditate on them and to write or talk about them and see if I can basically answer them for myself and see if I can make a personal shift or evolution or growth from diving deep into one of these questions or each question. Because basically I think it's a matter of me spending more time with myself and my own thoughts and my own heart. And I don't know, just spending more time with myself, being insular and being so focused on my inner mindset and not on what's happening around me or what I think people are thinking or anything like that. That's another phrase, anything like that. Just a lot of things I could be reviewing when I'm feeling lost or kind of unfocused and unconnected to my heart, and things that would jumpstart, I think, my mindset into positive things, or just like accepting the moment. Yeah. Go back to thinking what I want to work on today. So I figured it out, and that took me interrupting my pattern and just changing environment. I went to the restroom and then got like a tiny snack. And I figured out my thing for today. It's going to be working on the Grove project and basically trying to formulate slash make progress on the like little micro private community that I kind of want to have in my life and the kind of people I want to have in my inner circle, to connect to some of the people that have reached out expressing interest. And part of the thought came from a comment my friend made last night when I brought up the possibility of watching the Limitation Game. Basically she reminded me that I expressed interest in having a group and just watching that series as a group. And for me, the thought came in when I remembered that and recognized that if I want that project to become a reality, if I want that community to become normal in my life, I have to move forward with it, and I have to initiate, and I have to create, and I have to express myself into what I'm trying to bring into the world. I notice I'm getting kind of self-conscious for talking because the neighbor just came home across the street. Not that he can probably necessarily hear what I'm saying, but just a little observation. And the second part of what came to mind by getting off the porch for a split second was to, instead of trying to jam pack my entire schedule full of stuff, instead of saying that, like, I know I want to work on the LA photos, I know I want to make blog posts, I know I want to develop the Westies, instead of jam-packing like 27 things into my agenda, just stick to my one or two things that I want to work on today. And if something happens to come up, like let's say I work on the Client project and the Grove project, and then also, I was going to word that out a different way. Basically, instead of feeling like I have to have it on my agenda in order for me to work on it, totally being okay with working on the Grove project right now, or my Client projects right now, whether I get those done or not. And if I happen to work on the LA photos, that's still a good thing. That's still me being in the present. That's still me moving forward with creativity and I don't know what else. But basically getting myself to understand that I don't necessarily have to have it on my agenda for it to be considered a win to my day. That it doesn't have to be on my agenda for me to be considered that I'm living in my heart or living fully or living intentionally. Like, it matters more what's happening here rather than what's happening on here. This just helps to structure and organize things. That's all I need to really be looking at this as something, as a tool, rather than the basis of whether or not I'm living in my heart. Yeah, so, meditation, content, both done. Getting out of the house, technically done, even though I could benefit from getting further out of the house. But this is a good step for me. I've been working on Client projects, I've been working on the Grove project, and at least moving it forward in any shape or form. You know, it's just kind of formulating a rough idea of when I want to get people together. Because it's not going to happen unless I start putting things forward and start taking ideas and bringing them into like a physical, tangible thing that people can come to. Just getting an idea of what I actually want to do with it. And being okay with it not working out at all. Like, being okay with it being imperfect and it being okay with me not feeling like I'm quite the person that could... Like, I know I can organize it, but once we get people together, the fear then is being able to move things forward be a guide in a way in that aspect. Like, I know that's kind of a common theme for me when I'm thinking about trying to shape like the Westy Nights and to encourage certain things. Like, I kind of forget that technically I'm the leader of that event, and that I need to, that technically it's within my entire right, my entire strength to say we're going to do something different and we're just going to do this thing or whatever. And maybe that's why the Westy Playground or West Coast Playground is a little bit more, it comes more from the heart and kind of more invigorating for me, because I feel like it's not tightly structured yet, and that I basically am approaching that particular event from a place of that's going to be flexible, and I'm the one that's going to be structuring it and guiding it, even if we branch off and do different things, whatever. That's a tangent. That's okay. But yeah, that's probably a good place for me to end it for today. I started off being like super chill and super calm, and now I feel like I'm a lot more invigorated and energized to move on with my day. There's a part of me that's sad that it takes 2 hours for me to get to this point, and I was totally fine with literally doing nothing today as of 40 minutes ago. And that still very well may be the case, and that's totally okay. That's one of those phrases, isn't it? And that's totally okay. Yeah, we'll just see where the day goes, but at least having an idea of kind of what things are pulling at me right now, which is to, one, be okay with things being chill and calm and relaxed, and being fine with being by myself and not going through with some of the other plans I had initially set. And also being okay with me having a super energized, super productive day, working on client projects and the Grove, and being okay with having this empty space in my journal to not have anything listed, and to let what happens, what I actually physically do, fill that space, rather than filling the space and doing it based on it being in that space. Basically just being okay with having being okay with how can I word this? Being okay with me having a living fully day when none of it being on my schedule. Like being okay with not having scheduled something, doing something completely different, it being the right thing for me to do that day. Not doing anything on my schedule, and that one thing that I did to live fully be what dictates whether or not I was in my heart that day. Which I think is a better place to be in. It just helps to have some structure sometimes. So, kind of repeating myself at this point, and I love that. Keep dropping my pen. So, I'm just going to end it here because it's already like 45 minutes, and I don't think anyone's really going to be watching this long, and if you are, cool. Most of this video was for me anyway, but I don't know, I'm just going to stop talking and just move on with my day. Thank you for watching.